toughest things to do is find a piece of property with great big whitetails on it. It's getting a little easier in Texas, but even when you find one, you want to keep that relationship. We've got a great place at Panther Hollow Whitetails, where Mr. Joe Matkin has really put the effort into these deer. He's got phenomenal ranch. Seth Johnson and Allan Rovig of McQuarter Custom Rifles are coming in. They're gonna have their McQuarters ready, and I bet you some big deer are gonna die.
There's a lot of places to hunt in South Texas.
You know, Mr. Matkin is doing it right.
He's got some great whitetails.
He's got age, he got nutrition, he's got great genetics, supplemental feed system to give these deer anything they want, any time of the year. These deer, they're just bigger bodied, they're classic, they got those dark chocolate antlers. Panther Hollow Whitetails is located outside of Dilley, Texas, in the heart of big whitetail, big buck, South Texas country. It's a beautiful ranch, several thousand acres, typical Texas brush country. You know, Mr. Matkin is doing it right. He's got age, he got nutrition, he's got great genetics, a supplemental feed system to give these deer anything they want, any time of the year. And we had planned this hunt to go out in early November. We felt like it was going to be a great opportunity to go after a couple of these big mature deer. We rolled into camp for our first afternoon hunt, and I love to shoot just like anybody else, but Mr. Matkin has a 700-yard range set up. I was able to get my gun, get all set up, and make a one-shot kill on a 10-inch plate at 700 yards. I felt really confident with that shot. Very consistent wind left to right. A lot of guys, they didn't think I was going to be able to do it on the first shot.
That sounded good.
A 700-yard shot. Now, we don't condone shooting a deer that far. That's just not something that we want to do, but being able to make that shot when you want to gives me that confidence for when I need to make a 300-yard shot on a deer. Now, one deer in particular that Joe had been watching was a big deer with triple brows. This deer and a couple of other deer were ones that he had on the list. And when we got to the ranch that first afternoon, he said, take a look at some of these pictures. I think you'll really like this deer. If we're able to find them, I think this would be a great deer for you to take. Well, what do you got in mind? What are we looking for this week?
I think we're looking for a deer. I've got 2 or 3 in mind that probably going to be, 180 to maybe as much as 200-inch deer. Okay. One in particular I've got in mind is a big, high horn, heavy deer that I'd love to see you kill.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
You ready to go?
You bet.
Let's go. That first afternoon, we went and sat on a blind, had a really long scenario where you can see from one end to the other. We had some deer come out on us pretty quick. One deer, I am telling you, is a young up-and-comer. You know, we nicknamed him Acorn Tips because he had all kinds of rows of tines, but on the ends of each one of them he had these little acorn tips. Just a really unique, beautiful deer, incredible deer. That afternoon came and went. No signs of the buck we were after, but it was okay. We had a great time ahead of us. We went back to the lodge, got settled in, getting ready for our first morning hunt.
Brush Country Monsters is brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles, the most accurate hunting rifles in the world. Yeti Coolers, built for the wild. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, real Texas barbecue. Safari Club International Foundation, first for wildlife. And Hoff Power Auto and Outdoor Stores, over 50 years in Central Texas, and we couldn't have stuck around this long if we were steering you wrong. Brush Country Monsters is brought to you by Chupacabra Rub. Put it on meat, put it on veggies, put it on Texas. Swarovski Optique, see the unseen. Hart Rifle Barrels, unparalleled performance, handcrafted one at a time. Burger Bullets, shoot better, shoot burger. And John Burrell's High Adventure Company, the finest collection of big game hunting, wing shooting, and sport fishing destinations in the world.
Next morning we went to another blind, the same general vicinity of where this deer lives, thinking he might come out in the morning in a different spot.
So it's our first morning at Panther Hollow Whitetails here in South Texas. This is the pinnacle of deer management, guys, I'm telling you. All kinds of young bucks out there this morning. This place is serious big buck potential. We're after a specific deer. A big 170, 180 class. Maybe he's about 6 years old, but movement's a little slow, but it's picking up. All we can do is wait. We're gonna wrap up the morning. Saw a lot of good young deer, just not the big buck we're after. You know, it's pre-rut, so mornings can be slow. We're hoping the afternoons are gonna get these big bucks up.
So it's our third set. We go in there early. We felt like, you know, the weather's changing. It's a nice, pretty day. It's not incredibly hot. Let's go in there and let's get set up about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Give us plenty of time to try to watch some deer and catch some movement.
We know this big deer's living somewhere on this side of the ranch. Mr. Mackey, the ranch hunter, he said he's seen him over here several times, so we're just hoping one of these blinds he's gonna walk out. But the weather looks like it's cleared up on us. There was already some does as soon as we got up in the blind, so we're hoping some early activity this afternoon. We're hoping these bucks will get on their feet. Maybe we can get our eyes on this big deer this afternoon.
I don't know if it was just coincidence or what, but I shifted my chair and I moved the sticks and everything, and I had the gun ready, and I even put a sandbag up in the window in case this deer was going to come out to the left sendero.
Sam, big deer on the left here, big deer on the left. Where is it? Right here, right up under us.
I put the binoculars on him and he turned and looked towards the blind, and I immediately saw those triple brow tines.
50 yards. That's our deer. That's him right there, that's him.
I squeezed the trigger on that 7mm STW and bam, he dropped right in his tracks.
Whoa! What a deer, what a deer!
Just another incredible South Texas buck here at the Panther Hollow Whitetails. Man, he's getting bigger as we walk up. Look at this buck. He is down. Oh my gosh. What a giant. Look at this buck. mass galore. This is a true brush country monster. We've hunted this deer for 3 different sets, 3 different blinds. We knew he was on this end of the ranch, and you know, we were just listening to the guide. He said, just listen to me, I think he's gonna come out in one of these. And today was the day. We had a front come in this morning, some rain, pushed some weather through, and this afternoon it turned out to a beautiful day. We weren't in the blind maybe an hour, and out came this giant. Wasn't a very long shot, but I'll take what we can get, and it just all worked out in just a true South Texas monarch, a brush country monster, all kinds of mass and points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 scoreable points, mass all the way out to the ends. This is why I love hunting South Texas. Another giant deer here at Panther Hollow Whitetails, just an incredible buck. And guys, to top it off, I had a real special treat. Our good friend Alton Paris of Chupacabra Rub, and he was gonna cook fajitas for us that night. It was just a fantastic, fun time all around. We were so excited. I had this giant buck on the ground, and not only that, we had all our friends in camp, and we were gonna get to have some Chupacabra Rub fajitas for dinner that night. With my buck down, we had a couple of days, and we were just gonna go out and do some scouting. We knew Allan would be there in a couple of weeks for his hunt. We wanted to try to get our eyes on a couple of these big deer and see what, if we could show some to Allan.
Brush Country Monsters is brought to you by Big and J Long Range Attractants. The aroma is super strong, the range is super long. Borden Accuracy, makers of the Rimrock, Alpine, and Timberline custom actions. The G7 BR2 Ballistic Rangefinder, built for the first shot. Swagger, the bipod with moves. Revolution Safe Company, inspired by Pendleton. Rotating gun management made simple. And New Breed Archery. No hype, just hunt.
Seth had showed me some great footage of some bucks that were filmed fighting in Sendero after he had killed his deer, so I was all excited. And I'd been talking to Joe, and Joe said he had some great older bucks down there, and we just thought this was gonna be a great trip. Joe's got some great pictures of deer he's been sending us all year, making our mouths water, and one in particular that we call Dagger, that's a giant, just a 6.5-year-old giant. So 1,100 miles, it was worth it, and we're gonna get out here and sight the rifles in and get after Dagger with a vengeance with the 7 STW McQuarter. So we show up in South Texas on our friend Joe's place at Panther Hollow, and Joe's waiting for us. We got a couple of hours, so immediately we're gonna go to Joe's range. The rifle that we're gonna use for this hunt is one of our customs in a 7 STW. We've got an 8-twist heart barrel on it that's 26 inches plus the muzzle brake. We're shooting the 195 Burger Elite that are just off the charts in terms of BC. This one's built on a Borden custom action with a new impregnated bolt. We got a Timney Calvin Elite trigger in it, set at about 1 pound, which is what I like them at. We're gonna test out the 7 STW, and if it's where we left it, we'll be ready to kill one of these big South Texas whitetails this afternoon. Right where it's supposed to be. So that morning, the wind wasn't really right to hunt this cutover field where he'd seen this one buck in particular. Joe put us in another great elevated blind. We got in there way before daylight. As soon as the sun came up, we started seeing deer. Started out with does and some young bucks, and then this monster walks out.
That deer's not about 4 years old.
You know, Joe wants to get all these deer to 5.5 or 6.5 years old before you consider shooting them. So I'm glad he told us this, or else this buck wouldn't have made it.
We can't shoot. I'd love to shoot that one. He's a giant, but he's too young.
We sat there for a couple more hours. We got a glimpse of a double drop time buck. Joe had also showed us it was 4.5 years old. After the morning's hunt, Joe decided we'd get in, we'd go check out the blind that he was planning on putting us in for the evening. So you got this giant ranch and we're looking for one particular 6.5-year-old buck. But the good thing is you have seen him quite a few times here in the last couple of weeks, so that gives us some confidence, but we're kind of looking for the proverbial needle in a haystack to an extent, aren't we?
We're not going to say it's a giant ranch, but it's sure big enough for one deer to hide. I won't put it that way.
Well, I'd rather be lucky than good. I feel lucky today. We'll have a good wind to sit here, so that'll be good. We'll run those onyx anyway, but all these deer in this thick brush here is where you expect them to come out of this.
Yep, they're coming out. They're coming out here in the evenings out of that brush, and there's some really thick cover right back up in there behind this tank dam. There's been a bunch of does hanging out right in here, so I think there's a good chance one of them bigger bucks is going to show up.
Yeah, that's kind of our philosophy when the rut starts. We're looking for big doe groups like this, so that'll be great. The ground blind's all tucked in. Don't have over about a 250-yard shot. I think the
maybe you can make that, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
Today we're going to continue our series of elements of a custom rifle. We're going to talk about barrels.
We've been using Hart rifle barrels now for over 20 years. They're a family-owned company from upstate New York. All the barrels are made out of 416 stainless. They're air gauge straight from one end to the other, 1/10,000 straightness. The fluting variations that they offer are way wider than any other barrel manufacturer that I'm aware of. These are just some of the samples of what they offer in barrel fluting. You know, these barrels easily let us maintain our 1/2-inch MOA guarantee. We love the barrels, we love the people, the customer service is second to none. I mean, I can't imagine why anybody else would use anything other than a Hart barrel.
I agree. So join us next week as we continue our series on elements of a custom rifle, and we'll be talking about stocks and bedding.
And that's our on-target tip of the week, brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles. So we get to this blind set up plenty early in the afternoon. We get all set up, get our sticks set up and everything. Immediately does start filling up the field, and we saw a real nice 10-pointer come out, 3.5-year-old, probably in the 150s. Just a real nice buck. You know, the rut's not wide open yet, but he's pushing some does around the field. And the does disappear, this buck disappears. We see another couple of does come out, and they're all on the far brush line. It gets a little more towards dark, probably an hour left in the day, and I see movement to the left. I look over there and it's our buck. I mean, it's just a big shooter, bigger than what Joe described. He walks out, he sees the does over there, you know, he starts making his way to them. You know, it's not the rut yet, so he's gonna try to pull the sneak attack deal on them. Got him. He walks around, and as soon as he gives us a good broadside shot, he's at about right at 200 yards. We put it on his shoulder, squeeze the trigger. And he only takes a few steps, and we got a giant South Texas buck on the ground. Woo! Man, that's the biggest buck I ever shot in Texas. So after the celebration with the camera, we kind of collect our thoughts, and we walk the short 200 yards to the buck, and wow. Look at this deer. Good Lord. What a giant. What a monster. Good gosh. Man, he's got everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Broke that one off. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 16-pointer, 17-pointer. He's got everything. He's got, look at the beam length. This is a buck that, when we saw the pictures of him, we started calling him Dagger because of this about foot-long dagger he's got in the middle. And he had another one on this side, it looks like, but he broke that one off. That looks pretty fresh. This deer must not have been laying far from this field. He walked out and he gave us a good broadside shot at 225 yards, and the McQuarter 7 STW did its job. This one we built on a board and action with a heart barrel. We got a Swarovski on top with a custom turret, and we didn't have to dial it but a couple clicks to get this deer dead at 225. That 195 Burger again did its job. I don't even know how to track deer anymore. You just shoot them and you walk to where they were standing and you take your smiley picture. So that's just a great bullet. Man, what a buck. South Texas is a magical place. We've hunted hard all year long, and the rut's kicking in down here, and it didn't keep this brush country monster from walking out. So, wow, what a deal.
That's 2 years in a row at Panther Hollow Whitetails for BCM. That place can produce some monster bucks, can it? Until next week, always remember, keep God and family first.